What if the days of your week already carried a code, and you just needed someone to help you read it? That's what we do here. I bring numerology and history together, tracing the patterns that quietly shape the choices you make every single day. This week, we're aligning energy with action. 7 days, 7 frequencies, and a story that moves through all of them. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Cosmic Code. I'm Judith, and if you're new here, I'm genuinely glad you found us. Every week I take numerology seriously as a tool, not a party trick, a lens. And I layer it with real moments from history because the patterns aren't just abstract, they show up in events, in decisions, in the lives of people who had no idea they were moving with the current of the day. And I try to keep it practical. Not mystical for the sake of mystical. Useful. Something you can actually carry into your morning. So today we begin with Sunday, April the 12th, 2026. And we walk through every day of that week together. 7 beats. 7 small keys. Let the week unfold. Before we dive in, a quick note on how this works, because if you're new, it helps to know the structure. Each day carries what I call an energy number. That number points to an archetype, a way of moving through the day. And alongside that, I look at a historical milestone that landed on the same calendar date. Not to be clever about it, but because those moments often reflect the energy of the day in a way that's genuinely striking. I also look at what it means to be born on that day, the personality traits, the strengths, the tendencies that tend to show up in people who carry that number. And then I bring in 2 characters, Nova and Kai, who walk through each day differently. Nova moves. Kai hesitates. And the gap between them is where the lesson lives. Alright, let's start the week. Sunday, April the 12th. And we're opening the week on a 9. A 9 day has a very particular feeling to it. It's not urgent. It's not loud. It's wise. Completion, generosity, perspective. This is the energy of someone who has been around long enough to know that holding on too tightly is its own kind of loss. Not a day for rushing. The 9 asks you to close things cleanly, to release what's already done its work. There's a compassion to it too, a broadness. You're less focused on yourself and more aware of the bigger picture. Now, a child born today carries what I'd call an old soul quality. Compassionate, wise, often artistic, idealistic in the best sense. They genuinely believe in people and in meaning. They're globally minded. They want their life to matter beyond just their own comfort. The favorable number is 9. Favorable letter is A. If you're thinking about names, for a boy something like Ari. For a girl, Avery carries that quality beautifully. The years that tend to carry real weight for a 9-born person. Ages 9, 18, 27, and 36. These are the pivot points. The years where something shifts. In terms of vocation, humanitarian work, teaching, counseling, the arts, writing. Anything where the work serves something larger than a bottom line. That's where a 9-born person tends to find their footing. Now here's the historical moment that sits on this day, and I want you to hold it alongside the energy. In 1961, Yuri Gagarin became the first human being to travel into space. Think about what that actually means. One person crossing a boundary that no one had ever crossed before. The whole world watching as something that had only existed in imagination became real. That is 9 energy. Completion of one era. Release into something entirely new. Courage and curiosity opening a door for generations who came after. So how does this day actually live in practice? Let me show you through Nova and Kai. Nova wakes up and writes a mindful note, something she's been meaning to put into words for a while. She calls a mentor she's been putting off. She closes an old debt, not because she has to, but because carrying it has cost her more than the amount. She starts a new project, but only after she's genuinely finished the last one. Kai wakes up and rechecks things that are already done. Kai overthinks the next step, waits for someone else to give permission, avoids the risk entirely. By the end of the day, Kai is exactly where the morning found him. One builds forward, one stands still. So practically, what does a 9-day ask of you? Financially, close an old account. Finish that tax task or outstanding invoice you've been circling. If you have surplus, consider giving some of it. Stop spreading your money across too many things and choose fewer, more meaningful uses for it. For your body, this is a rest and release day. Hydrate well. Eat in a way that supports rather than burdens you. Gentle movement. Sleep that actually restores you. In your relationships, offer understanding before you offer your opinion. Be direct about what you need. 9 energy isn't passive, it's just patient. Listen to compromise, not just to respond. Plan something that brings genuine joy. And show the people around you that you're reliable through what you do, not just what you say. Your mantra for today. Write it down if that helps you. I complete what I started and wisdom follows release. Will you step forward like Nova or remain where Kai stands? The day is asking. Monday, April the 13th. And the energy shifts to 1. If Sunday asked you to close things gently, Monday is asking you to begin boldly. The 1 is a pioneer. It carries initiative, leadership, and that clean feeling of a fresh start. This is a begin again day. Genuinely useful for independent decisions and first steps you've been holding back. But here's the nuance I always want people to hear with 1 energy. It rewards confidence, yes. But it works best when the move is purposeful rather than impulsive. There's a difference between bold and reckless, and the 1 knows that difference. A child born on a 1 day comes in independent, bold, inventive, self-driven. There's a strong sense of identity from early on. They know who they are, or they spend their life finding out with real commitment. They initiate. They lead, often before anyone asks them to. Favorable number is 1. Favorable letter is A. Names that carry that energy well: Alex for a boy, Avery for a girl. The significant years for a 1 born person. Ages 1, 10, 19, and 28. These are the years identity tends to sharpen or redefine itself. Vocationally, entrepreneurship, leadership, engineering, innovation. Any path where they can set the direction rather than simply follow it. The historical milestone for April the 13th takes us back to 1742. Handel's Messiah had its world premiere in Dublin. A piece of music that had never been heard before, performed for the very first time, in a city that became part of that legacy forever. That is 1 energy, bold creation, cultural leadership, a beginning that echoed for centuries. Nova on a Monday like this drafts a proposal she's been sitting on. She tests a new approach rather than waiting for it to feel perfectly safe. She shares it with a mentor and actually adjusts based on what she hears. Then she commits. No more circling. Kai rehearses objections that haven't happened yet. Weighs consequences that may never arrive. Waits for consensus that no one is actually withholding. Delays the 1 decisive step that would move everything forward. 1 builds forward. 1 stands still. Practically, here's what Monday is asking of you. Financially, review your budget and plan for the new quarter. If there's a high potential project you've been cautious about, this is the day to put real investment behind it, whether that's money, time, or people. Set aside a contingency, yes, but don't let that caution become a reason to avoid the move. For your body, rest and reset. Hydration and steady routine. Light movement, conscious breathing, a gentle stretch. Keep the sleep schedule consistent. A strong start to the week is built on a strong night's rest. In your relationships, be direct about what you need. Offer understanding in return. Share something playful. One energy doesn't have to be all business. Lean on steady support and be that support for someone else. Your mantra for Monday: I begin anew with purpose. Are you building with Nova or waiting like Kai? Tuesday, April the 14th. The energy moves to 2. After the bold push of Monday, Tuesday asks you to slow down and listen. The 2 is a diplomat. It carries balance, patience, and calm communication. This is not a day to bulldoze through. It's a day to negotiate, to be genuinely cooperative, to make progress through mutual trust rather than sheer force. A child born on a 2-day is sensitive in the most useful sense of the word. Diplomatic, cooperative, intuitive, patient. They notice things other people miss: the shift in someone's tone, the tension in a room, the unspoken need. And they tend to seek harmony, not because they're conflict averse, but because they genuinely believe in the value of relational safety. Favorable number is 2. Favorable letter is B. Names that resonate: Blair for a boy, Bailey for a girl. Significant years: 2/11/2029. These are the years relationships and collaborations tend to define the direction. Vocationally, mediation, psychology, design support, diplomacy. Anywhere that the ability to hold 2 perspectives at once becomes a genuine skill rather than a burden. The historical marker for April the 14th sits in 1988, when the Soviet Union began its withdrawal from Afghanistan. A moment of carefully negotiated, measured transition. Not dramatic, not sudden. Cooperative energy working its way toward resolution. That is the 2 in action. Nova on a Tuesday invites feedback from a colleague and actually listens to it. She adjusts her plan to make more room for others. She releases a rigid stance she's been holding, not because she was wrong, but because the plan is stronger without it. She tests a softer approach and finds it opens more doors. Kai stays poised but keeps the conversation constructive. Kai asks for clarity when things feel uncertain. Kai reframes a conflict into a shared problem to solve. Kai nurtures the plan with patience rather than pushing it through before it's ready. On a 2-day, both Nova and Kai are building, just in different registers. Financially, review shared finances with care. This is a strong day for negotiating better terms on anything that's been outstanding. Coordinate resources with the people around you. Think long-term stability rather than short-term gain. For your body, rest and hydration. Balanced meals. Breathing breaks. Genuinely step away from the screen and breathe. A healthy sleep routine. The 2 energy doesn't do well in a depleted body. In your relationships, love flows on a day like this when you lead with listening. Clear boundaries actually support mutual respect. They don't undermine it. Find something light and joyful to share. Let reliable support be what deepens the bond. Your mantra for Tuesday: I balance needs with care and communicate with tact. Are you embodying Nova today or Kai? Wednesday, April the 15th. The energy lifts to 3. If you felt the quiet of Tuesday, Wednesday is the exhale that turns into a laugh. The 3 is a creator. It's expressive, socially alive, imaginative. Ideas flourish today. Communication uplifts. This is a day for bold presentation, vivid storytelling, collaborative artistry. A child born on a 3-day arrives with a spark. Expressive, cheerful, imaginative, social, witty in a way that draws people in. They connect people through ideas and through art. There's a verbal charm to them that tends to show up early and stay for life. Favorable number is 3. Favorable letter is C. Names that carry it: Casey for a boy, Cameron for a girl. Significant years: 3/12/21/30. These are the years creativity tends to either find its channel or demand one. Vocationally, writing, media, performance, marketing. Any path where expression itself is the work. The historical moment for April the 15th brings us to 1955, when Ray Kroc opened the first McDonald's franchise. Now, you might not immediately think of that as a creative milestone, but think about what it actually was. A vision of scale. A shared experience, replicated and expanded across the world. That is 3 energy. A concept communicated so clearly it spreads. Nova breathes life into a new concept on Wednesday. She sketches it, rehearses how she'll present it, shares it with people she trusts, and refines the delivery for real impact. The idea doesn't sit in her notebook. It gets into the room. Kai contributes with feedback and humor. Kai backs ideas up with practical detail. Kai handles questions from the crowd with ease. Kai keeps pace with the collaboration rather than slowing it down. On a 3-day, the energy wants to move. Let it. Financially, budget for creative campaigns or initiatives. Launch a small pilot rather than waiting for the full version to be perfect. Use your social channels. The 3-day loves amplification. Track what gets engagement and adjust. For your body and mind, creative outlets are medicine today. Make something. Move in a way that feels expressive rather than mechanical. In your relationships, shared creativity deepens things. Keep play and affection alive. Don't let the day become all output and no warmth. Your mantra for Wednesday. I express with clarity and let ideas resonate. Do you move like Nova today or hold like Kai? Thursday, April the 16th. The energy settles into 4. After the creative surge of Wednesday, Thursday asks you to build something that actually lasts. The 4 is a builder. Structured, disciplined, reliable. This is the energy of steady work, solid systems, and dependable progress. It's not glamorous, but it's the energy that makes everything else sustainable. A child born on a 4-day comes in practical, disciplined, detail-oriented, resilient. They grow through consistent effort and well-structured routines. There's a proactive need for order in them, not rigidity, but a genuine understanding that lasting things require real construction. Favorable number is 4. Favorable letter is D. Names that carry that grounded quality: Drew for a boy, Dakota for a girl. Significant years: 4, 13, 22, 31. These are the years foundations either prove themselves or reveal where they need reinforcement. Vocationally, architecture, accounting, operations, technical work. Any path where precision and durability are the point. The historical moment for April the 16th takes us to 1912, when Harriet Quimby became the first woman to fly across the English Channel. This wasn't luck. It was mastery built through disciplined preparation. She trained. She planned. She executed. That is 4 energy at its finest. Nova on Thursday files a precise plan with clear timelines. She coordinates resources with calm focus. She tests the process for accuracy before it matters whether it works. No drama, just execution. Kai reviews the data and confirms every step. Keeps to the schedule. Checks the details. Stays methodical even under pressure. Doesn't cut corners because the corner that gets cut is always the one that matters later. 1 builds forward. 1 stands still. But on a 4-day, even careful methodical movement counts as forward. Financially, audit your expenses and receipts. If you've been meaning to implement a proper budgeting framework, this is your day. Strengthen your controls. Document your progress. What gets measured gets managed. For your body, steadiness and routine are the medicine. Your mind finds clarity in process today, let it. Don't fight the structure. In your relationships, love grows through shared responsibility, practical care, showing up in the ordinary moments. Nurture the home environment, not with grand gestures but with reliable presence. Your mantra for Thursday: steady structure creates lasting value. Will you act like Nova today or hesitate like Kai? Friday, April the 17th. And the energy breaks open into 5. If Thursday was about building carefully, Friday is about moving freely. The 5 carries freedom, adaptability, change, and movement. New paths, quick thinking, breaking out of patterns that have quietly gone stale. This is a day that rewards experimentation and punishes rigidity. A child born on a 5-day arrives restless in the best possible way. Adaptable, curious, adventurous, quick-minded, lively. They resist monotony not because they're uncommitted, but because they're genuinely wired to seek variety and to grow through it. Favorable number is 5. Favorable letter is E. Names that have that lively, open quality: Eliot for a boy, Emerson for a girl. Significant years: 5, 14, 23, 32. These are the years change tends to arrive whether invited or not, and the 5-born person tends to navigate them better than most. Vocationally: travel, sales, journalism, technology. Any path where adaptability is a competitive advantage rather than a liability. The historical moment for April the 17th takes us to 1964, when Jerry Mock completed the first solo around-the-world flight by a woman, on her own, adapting to whatever the sky handed her. That is 5 energy. Independence, bold action, stepping into new terrain without waiting for someone to confirm it's safe. Nova on Friday pivots quickly when feedback arrives. She doesn't defend the original plan out of attachment to it. She explores alternative routes, shares her discoveries with the team, adapts when new information changes the picture. Kai challenges assumptions with playful skepticism, experiments with different tools and methods, accepts feedback and actually moves forward with it, takes risk in measured doses, not recklessly, but without letting caution become a cage. On a 5-day, movement is the point. Financially: try a new marketing channel you've been curious about. Pilot a flexible schedule or arrangement. If travel or relocation has been on the table, this is the day to think seriously about it. Document outcomes and iterate. The 5 learns by doing. For your body: variety and movement. Change your route, your routine, your environment if you can. Stagnation doesn't suit the 5. In your relationships: keep things lively. Stay open to change. Let the energy of the day bring some freshness into how you connect. Your mantra for Friday: I flow with change and expand through exploration. Are you finishing the week with Nova, or postponing with Kai? Saturday, April the 18th, and we land on the energy of 6. If the rest of the week was about pushing forward and expanding, Saturday asks you to come home. The 6 is the vibration of harmony, nurturing, and responsibility. It's a grounding energy, the kind that reminds us that our achievements mean very little if we don't have a peaceful place to return to or people to share them with. It's a day for repair, for beautification, and for service. Not the kind of service that feels like a chore, but the kind that comes from a place of genuine care. A child born on this day carries a natural instinct to protect. They are often the anchors in their families, responsible, loyal, and deeply artistic. They tend to feel the weight of responsibility early in life, and they thrive when they can create harmony for those around them. The favorable number is 6. The favorable letter is F. For names: think Finley for a boy or Frankie for a girl. Their pivot years, the moments where their path often shifts, are ages 6, 15, 24, and 33. Vocationally, you'll find these individuals in medicine, teaching, design, or caregiving. Anything where the primary goal is to heal or improve the quality of someone else's life. And look at the historical marker for this day. In 1923, the first game was played in Yankee Stadium. On the surface, it's just sports. But in numerology, this fits the 6 energy perfectly. It's about community, tradition, and a shared experience that brings people together under one roof. It's the creation of a landmark, a place where generations of families would later gather. That is the essence of the 6, creating a sense of belonging. So, how does this play out for Nova and Kai? Nova spends her Saturday focusing on her inner circle. She fixes something in her home that has been broken for months. She reaches out to a family member she's had tension with and chooses harmony over being right. She invests her energy into making her environment beautiful, understanding that her external space reflects her internal state. Kai, however, struggles with the shadow side of the 6, over-control. Kai tries to fix people instead of fixing the situation. Kai spends the day managing others, worrying about how things look from the outside rather than how they feel on the inside. By trying to force harmony, Kai actually creates more tension. Practically, here is how to navigate a 6-day. Financially, this is the day for the home. Spend on home improvements, family support, or those practical quality of life purchases that make your daily existence more comfortable. Invest in stability. For your body, prioritize comfort, warm, nourishing food, emotionally supportive self-care. Give yourself permission to slow down and simply be nurtured. In your relationships, focus on loyalty and the feeling of home. It's not about grand gestures today. It's about the quiet, dependable support that says, "I am here and you are safe." Your mantra for Saturday: care deeply and harmony follows. Now, as we look back at the week as a whole, this is where it all shows its shape. Nova built something real. She sketched a plan early in the week and tested the concept when the energy was right. She wired the people around her into the idea. She didn't carry it alone. And step by step across 7 days the concept took shape. Not perfectly, not without friction, but it moved. Kai stayed in preparation, studied the plan, revisited the risks more times than the risks warranted. Saturday finds Kai in the same position Monday found him, ready to begin but not yet begun. And here's what I want you to sit with before you close this week out. Preparation has real value. Kai isn't a villain in this story. Caution keeps projects from collapsing. But there's a point where preparation becomes a way of avoiding the thing you're preparing for. Saturday's invitation is simple. Look at what you actually built this week, not what you plan to build. What exists now that didn't exist on Sunday morning? That's your measure. One lesson to carry out of this week. The energy of each day is not a guarantee. It's an invitation. The 9 doesn't complete things for you. The 1 doesn't begin things on your behalf. The 5 doesn't move you unless you're willing to move. The codes are real, but you're the one who decides what to do with them. And that's the secret ingredient, not the numerology, not the archetypes, not even the historical moments. It's the moment you choose to act in alignment with what the day is actually offering. That's where the energy becomes yours. If this week's forecast gave you something useful, subscribe so the next cycle finds you ready rather than catching up. Share this episode with someone who needs to hear it. You probably already know who that person is. And leave me a comment or a question. Your biggest takeaway from this week, something you're sitting with, something you want me to dig deeper into. I read everything. I'll see you in the next cosmic cycle. Take care of yourselves.